What's up, guys? Welcome back indeed. So let's go over everything that you want to know for season 29 in Diablo 3. So starting right off, let's go over when is season 29 Visions of Enmity starting. So it's going to be starting and going live on September 15th at 5 p.m. PDT. So that's actually very soon. Next up though, let's go over the brand new season mechanic, as you guys are seeing right here in the background for gameplay. So there are these new portals, and to access these brand new portals, you just play the game in the open world. So no rifts, greater rifts are going to be used to actually acquire these new portals. Now, when you're in these portals, there's going to be lots of different monsters. There's going to be newer zones that you can fight in. There's even towns that you can go to that will have all of these monsters. You guys are seeing Tristram over here, and there's a bunch of monsters that have invaded. And you just kill the monsters, and sometimes you can find multiple bosses, but at the end of the day, it's going to give you bounty materials. After you delete a bunch of the monsters, there is going to be a reward at the very end. Look how many death breaths we were able to pick up just right there. And this goes up to T16. Now, on top of that, there's going to be some newer monsters, and some of these monsters do have affixes that can be a little bit different, but for the most part, if you're running any of my builds, you don't even need to worry about the affixes. You will just delete them before they even have a chance to actually engage you, because, well, T16 is the highest that this new scaling mechanic goes to. So that's what's in the new season. On top of that, let's go over the rewards. So this is your reason to maybe even play this season, because you want to get these rewards. And I know a lot of people maybe came for Diablo 4, and now they are interested in playing Diablo 3. So I'll briefly explain. These new seasonal cosmetic rewards do not really affect gameplay at all. Technically, the pet does pick up gold, but it's just a pet skin. So you're going to be able to acquire a pet for free. You also get a portrait for free, and there are these galactic wings. So all of these are free. You do not need to purchase any battle passes or anything like that, just because I know a lot of people maybe follow my channel for D4 and they're wondering, is Diablo 3 worth playing? You know, I want to maybe get into Diablo 3 and this is my first season. Absolutely. On top of that, you also can do your seasonal journey, and you can actually get additional stash tabs for free. So you get more stash space, you get a pet, you get a portrait, and you get wings. And again, there's no battle passes, you don't have to purchase anything, and it does not give you any advantage. These are all cosmetic only. So the next thing I want to go over is the solo self-bound mode. For any of you guys that maybe have played a while back and you always saw some people on leaderboards and they would have an insane amount of Paragon, and you always felt like you were behind because they were grouping up with people and they were able to grind the game for maybe longer than you did. One thing that's really nice with this season is it only goes up to Paragon 800, and there's also a solo self-found mode. And what's really good with the solo self-found mode is when you are doing the new season mechanic, when you go into the portal, at the very end there are bounty materials. And one thing that is kind of difficult when you're playing solo is to acquire all of the bounty materials, because you want to re-roll your pieces of gear or you want to craft certain things. So this is a really nice feature, not only to have solo self-found, but the mechanic lets solo self-found actually be relatively decent in terms of speed, because doing all of the bounties by yourself, well, it takes a quite long time. So this is a brand new mode. So if you don't know what solo self-found is, it means you cannot group up with other players, so you can't share gear or kind of boost each other or get power leveled. This will not be enabled if you decide to do solo self-found. Other games have had it, and Diablo 3 is finally getting it as well. On top of that, in terms of what's the new builds, because I get asked this all the time, Slaydra, which class is the best? Honestly, most of the best classes are going to remain the same, but I'll give you guys a brief little gameplay of kind of what got buffed. So the God DH, the Gears of Dreadlands, the Spin to Win Demon Hunter, that one actually did get buffed. We have the full build guide down below, so I'll have all these build guides pinned down below. This is still one of the best Demon Hunter builds. Basically, they buffed it up so you don't have to activate your primary skill, your generator, as often. You're going to be having higher stacks, so it's overall just a buff in that department. Next up, you guys are already seeing the gameplay, which is the Crusader horse build. So you just activate your horse and you're just able to delete content, and it's super strong because Crusader never really had a good speed build. This is actually something that we had previously in another season, but obviously with the newer season 28 that we got recently, well, we don't have this build because this build is just so good. It's probably one of the best builds in the game if you really like that thrill for speed. This is probably going to be one of my builds that I'm going to be starting off with, because a lot of you guys always ask which one is the best starter. you technically don't get the entire set earlier on, but you can acquire it, and it's going to be really fast once you acquire it. Next up, there is the Chicken Witch Doctor. And again, if you want all the build guides, they are already ready for you guys, and they will all be pinned down below. But the Chicken Witch Doctor allows you to transform into a chicken, and you are actually shooting out chickens. And it's pretty funny to see it actually be one of the best builds in the entire game for this season. And it's pretty fun to see something kind of new. It technically existed before, but it wasn't nearly as good as it was in the current iteration. You are just turning into a chicken, and you just kind of move, and it just automatically shoots out chickens. It's very, very good. On top of that, a lot of people may want to know what is going to be the Hrig Gift. If you guys don't know what this is, and this is your first time maybe playing Diablo 3 in a while, or just playing Diablo 3 for the very first time, it's a way better reward than Diablo 4's Season Journey. Remember, you don't have to buy the Battle Pass or anything. This is all free. So as you start progressing in your Season Journey, you will get a full piece of legendary set gear. So basically, you can run one of these, and your character will feel very, very powerful. Now, none of these in terms of like the sets granted here are going to be the best in slot for the class this season. Sometimes there are really, really good classes. Demon Hunter is always a really good class, and the reason why Demon Hunter is always really good is because there is a recipe, and I'll be making a guide for leveling, but pretty much there is a guarantee that you will craft a random item on the Demon Hunter to be utilized in the earlier stages of your leveling process when you do the challenge rift to get some of your rewards. Basically what it comes down to is you can craft a random specific like weapon legendary, and sometimes it can be bad. If you get like Carly's point, well, you're going to be okay because the Shadow's Mantle set, you're going to want that item anyways, and if you get the bonus damage to Fan of Knives, it's going to be really, really good as well. But in terms of the classes that may be a little bit more popular, if you guys are wondering, like, you know, what class should I play, what's going to be one of the more popular classes, well, the classes that got something new are going to be Crusader, which you guys are seeing gameplay of. There's also the Demon Hunter. Didn't really get changed too much. It's just a nice little buff for them just to not activate your primary skill like I mentioned before. And then the Witch Doctor gets the chicken build. So those are probably going to be the fan favorites for this season if you've played the game, you know, consistently. Those are like your new like classes that have some sort of new build for it. Whereas like, let's say the Wizard, you do get Firebirds, but there isn't any new like buff to Firebirds in general, or any like new kind of way to play the game, or any new crazy buffs that you're going to have access to. So if you haven't played in a while, in terms of any of these sets, they're all mediocre, as in like there's not a set here that, oh my gosh, if you want to be the best of the best, you can just play this class, get your Season Journey, and then you'll have one of the best sets. Like for example, with the Crusader, the set that we're playing, it's not going to be the Thorns one. So eventually you're going to acquire them, and if you haven't played Diablo 3 in a while, whatever set that you want, you can acquire it. Maybe within like a weekend-ish of playtime, you're going to be able to build your character and get it min-maxed to have the best in slot relatively easy. Diablo 3 is a very beginner-friendly game in terms of acquiring gear. You don't have to sit there forever trying to hope you get that, let's say, that Tempest Roar or the Rhyment or like a very specific unique item. It's very, very friendly to get all the items in Diablo 3 if you haven't played before and you're coming from, let's say, D4. So don't worry too much about this in terms of like which class should you start out in the very beginning to gear up, because the Paragons only go up to 800, which is a newer addition. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, this guy's got way more Paragon points than I do, I can't compete on the leaderboards, which I think is a really cool thing. But yeah, you only have 800 Paragon points to spend. So what's cool with this mechanic is you're going to be able to get a lot more points into one category. So before, you could only put, let's say, 50 points into every single one. One of the more important ones for certain builds is, let's say, getting that cooldown reduction to 10%. But now you can get 40% cooldown reduction in just that category. You do lose out on putting your points into attack speed and crit hit chance and damage, but you could just slam all of your points into cooldown reduction, which is very helpful for certain builds in the very beginning. To get up online, you do need to reach that cooldown threshold, and this really does help out, alleviate some pressure in terms of your pieces of gear needing to be kind of perfect, especially on classes like the Monk, which you really need to get cooldown reduction for some of them to function properly. But nonetheless, this is a great great change over here. You technically lose out in power because before you had infinite Paragon points versus now there's 800 only. You could still go past 800 Paragon points, but it's just like a number thing. It doesn't give you any more Paragon points to put in, but that will transfer later when it goes over to your non-season anyway. So you're still not losing out on any value there, just in case you guys were wondering. So on top of that, there is a few smaller changes. They changed in Auric Streams. Certain monsters have been removed, and they added a little bit of a buff for an icon for the Monk with Flying Dragon, so you know when it's activated, so you can kind of do your burst damage window a little bit better. There's actually a nerf to the Necromancer, so that might be a little bit less popular. So the Seperate was giving you like way more essence than it was supposed to, but nonetheless, that has actually been nerfed. It's a very small change overall, and they changed some like the smaller things in the game, but it's not really anything that is super important. There is also a Shield Crusader build, but it's kind of overshadowed by what you guys are seeing in the gameplay in the background because everyone's going to be playing the Horse Crusader because it's just simply way better. Vigilante belt basically got a completely new rework. It has a new legendary power because it had no bonus, and what you guys are seeing, all you need to activate is the pony, and you just get to just slam through content. It's one of the best, and I already went over kind of the newer changes here. Like I said, there's a new chicken build, but in terms of the season, that's what's essentially going to be the whole goal of the next season, is basically complete your season journey. And now we have solo self-found, and there is a maximum of Paragon points, and we can distribute these Paragon points a lot better because you can put 200 into one category. So that's season 29 in a nutshell, and it's starting out on September 15th. But the real question is, what class are you guys going to be playing? Let me know down below. I am more than likely starting out Crusader, but I'm going to see with my group what they are playing, and maybe we all roll the same thing. Because there's only 800 Paragon points, yeah, you can make a lot of different classes because it's going to encourage you to maybe swap classes, as you don't have to feel like you need to start pushing to gain those Paragon points. But that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and you want to see more Diablo and other gaming content, subscribe to the bell, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.